Welcome to another edition of Minot Talk here at the Dakota.
It is Tuesday, August 27th, 2024, 2 p.m. Just like every week, we're back with another Minot Talk.
Since we started doing this, do you feel like you track time better?
Without a doubt.
Your weeks?
What about you? At least on Tuesday, because Tuesdays were typically my day off. So, I mean, these days, this day especially. It's
but I'm saying like weekly because it feels like to me when you get into the middle of the year, things just begin to blow by. Like it's May. You can't wait till it's May, and then it's October.
Blink, and now it's this weekend's Labor Day all of a sudden.
Yeah,
I gotta
September
wear my white blazer one more time before Labor Day.
You follow those rules?
Aren't you supposed? I don't know. I heard that was a thing. No
you
white
do?
after Labor Day. I don't want to be weird.
Well done. Well done.
I don't want to be that guy.
I mean, I get that there's rules to what I'm supposed to wear, but I don't really feel like I'm cool enough to follow them.
I don't feel I am at all. I just.
But you do.
I don't want to look dumb and and not follow them.
Well, that's epic. I think I wanted to start doing like a question every episode, and I feel like this is the question for today's episode.
Let's do it.
Do you follow the rule of no white after Labor Day?
I guess I do. I'm going
to.
At
you
the
follow the
rule.
Yeah. So if you follow that rule, let us know in the comments. Or if you don't follow that rule, let us know in the comments. It'd be interesting to hear who actually follows that. I don't pay attention to it. I think naturally my choices tend to go a little bit darker.
Fair.
Like naturally.
Yep.
But and by darker I mean I always wear like gray, blue, black.
The navy blue, gray, charcoal kind of thing.
But I don't necessarily not wear a gray suit, a light gray suit.
It's fair.
And especially when it gets to like January, February, I feel like you start wearing them because you're hoping summer's here soon or spring.
It's almost an anticipatory thing.
Yeah,
you're trying to manifest it kind of deal.
Maybe I'll feel it better.
You want it to be warm at that point. But luckily, it's still summer. We still have some time left of good weather. Labor Day weekend coming up. It's going to be probably nice. Hopefully, everyone gets one more weekend to do some stuff at the lake. Everything.
We have an exciting episode today.
I think we do.
Okay, we have a guest.
We have a
guest. We're going to be talking with the executive director for Dakota Clinic. That's going to be an interesting chat about some upcoming stuff they have going on.
Most definitely.
Kyler and I never recapped last city council. We brought on Rob Fuller, had a good conversation with him last week. If you didn't listen to that, you should go back on that one. But we'll break that down. There was also an executive session that was held by Minot City Council yesterday addressing 2 items. So we'll take a look at that. Not much to talk about there, but we'll talk about that a little bit.
At least touch the surface of it.
And we have some upcoming interviews. It's been busy. Some podcasts that are going to be releasing. We have even more that we can't talk about yet, but will be coming to fruition but they're not done by me.
Ooh.
Finally, we have somebody else breaking out. You're supposed to be breaking out some stuff
eventually.
I mean, if we went back and watched Minot Talk from like 2 months ago,
we could start throwing some shots at me. But I have an excuse. My real job got real busy and hectic this summer.
Is that what you're running with?
That's my excuse. Yes.
Okay. I wanted to do something else today.
What do you want to do?
I'm going with the bubbler today.
Uh-oh. Ghost pink lemonade
and Apple products all around, man. So
I got my phone.
If you're wanting to make the best choices in life, now you know. Evidently, Ghost lemonade, never had it. I can't vouch for it. Kyler does.
It's some kind of energy drink. It's not disgusting, so I'll take that as a win.
It sounds like a bad idea.
It's got 10
energy drinks can't be great, but I am drinking a bubbler which has a wild amount of energy. And I do drink the energy version of Milo Drops, which also have a wild amount of energy, caffeine in it.
I don't anticipate it's good for me.
Right.
It's 10 calories compared to like 300. So
that's no fun.
Clearly, I don't count them, but I'll take
your body
it as
does
a win
for you
regardless. Exactly.
Body never fails to count down the calories. All right, so really excited about this episode. We'll start getting down to business, and I think we're going to kick it off with a special guest in a minute. And while we are transitioning for that, I want to go over some upcoming episodes that we have on Minot Matters at the Dakota. There's like 3 or 4 like exciting episodes that I'm really excited to share. One of them is with Dr. Emerson Eads. Sat down with him to go over Western Plains Opera and a big event that they have coming up. Sat down with Brian Billingsley. We'll talk about that one later. That one was one that we released last Saturday. Sat down with the chair of the Republican Party in North Dakota and the GOP, Sandy Sanford. That'll be released. And this Thursday, we'll be releasing an interview we had with Daryl Lees of KFYR. Very great interview with him, getting to know him better, and also talking about some great things coming up this political season. But today, we have a very special guest of the Dakota Hope Clinic. Thank you for joining us today, Nadia.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Now, this is really bad of me, but I feel like I would fail saying your last name, and so I avoided saying it. Can you say it for us all?
Smetana.
Smetana. See, I would have tried to go like phonetical or something, which it is phonetical, but I saw the E before the M. I also can't read. I was homeschooled, and typically that's a good thing, but maybe not. So you're not here to talk about that, though. You're here to talk about Dakota Hope Clinic and a pretty exciting event that you guys do every September, I believe.
Right.
So first off, talk about Dakota Hope Clinic for a minute. There might be some viewers that are not as familiar with it. What does Dakota Hope Clinic do here in Minot in North Central North Dakota?
Yes, Dakota Hope opened in 2013. And we are the only pregnancy help center here in Minot and in the whole Northwest area. We help women and men who are facing an unplanned or unintended or otherwise challenging pregnancy. And we offer help with them. We offer education about their options. We offer some medical services that include a free pregnancy test and an ultrasound. And then we have a nurse consultation where they can talk to the nurse about their options.
So I talked with Tim Knudsen last year, I believe, and it's neat to hear what you guys do. But when you get into the details of what you guys do, and I don't know that we went into like detail, there's probably levels of detail when it comes to what you guys do.
Yeah.
But you guys have like these reward systems to help motivate and stuff. There's a lot of stuff that you guys do over at Dakota Hope Clinic. It's not just this little, and you guys have almost the whole first floor there at the main medical. You guys have been growing
we keep
dramatically.
Expanding, yes. We do offer, a lot of people think that we just care about the baby. We don't care about the mom, but we actually do offer long-term help for the mom. If she chooses to carry the baby to term, we offer something called the Earn While You Learn program.
Okay.
And that is a incentive educational mentoring program where they can learn about how to have a healthy pregnancy, how to get through labor and delivery, which is a big deal. And then afterwards, they can keep coming for education all the way up until their child is about 3 years old.
Wow.
So that's up nearly 4 years of support that we can give if they want it.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm. So, and that, that every lesson that they complete in those educational programs, they earn points. And for every point that they earn, they can redeem those points in our baby boutique. We have a little store.
Okay.
We have a whole room devoted to our baby boutique, and they can shop for free items for their baby or their toddler.
That's incredible. So this is always interesting to me. And so I'd love to hear your perspective on it. Tell me like one or two stories if you want, but at least one story of a situation where Dakota Hope was able to come in the clutch, as they used to say. That's probably an old saying now, but was able to come and help in need when a young lady was going through it.
Boy, which one do I tell? But
exactly.
Anyway, I can tell you about one of my favorites is a couple that came in, and they already had a child. They felt that their parents had helped them so much with their first child. They were not married. They struggled financially.
Yep.
They just didn't even want to tell their parents that they were pregnant again. And so they planned on having an abortion. And then when they sought out an abortion, they found out that they had to have an ultrasound, and that ultrasound was going to cost them, I don't remember the amount, but X number of dollars that they didn't have. Right. So then they found, in searching where they could get an ultrasound, they found out about Dakota Hope. So they came to Dakota fully just wanting to get that ultrasound out of the way, where they could get it free at Dakota Hope.
Right.
And, when they actually saw that ultrasound, it was the dad first that said, he said, honey, I think we can do this. Something to that effect. Yeah. And it took a little while for her to be persuaded, but, eventually they carried that baby to term. and they started the Earn While You Learn program, and that helped them out a lot financially. Right. But that was also one of the couples that got us to thinking that we need to broaden our scope of opportunity. We need to give the opportunity to more people in the rural communities, because this couple was from a rural community, and they did do some of the Earn While You Learn, but they didn't do as much as they would have liked because of the distance and the time and the travel concerns. So we started thinking about, well, what about these people that live 80 miles away or more? It's really hard for them to come to Minot, and it's expensive. And so that's one of the reasons. They were actually one of the reasons that got us thinking that we should do something for the rural communities. So long story short, now we have a clinic in Tioga, and then we have one in Botno. Wow. Also. So one is 80 miles east of Minot, northeast, and the other one is about 80 miles west.
Wow. So covering that north, central, northwest, North Dakota well, which actually brings us very well into these banquets that are going to be happening this year. It looks like there's one going on September 15th, and then 16th, and then 17th, correct?
Correct. We decided this year for the first time, because we have the 3 clinics open, that we wanted to do a fundraising banquet in each city. So this will be our first time we're doing 3 banquets. So we're very excited about it, though. We have a great speaker coming. We always bring a featured speaker in that educates and inspires, but the main purpose is to raise funds, but we also want to educate and inspire, which we do. Jean Marie Davis is our speaker this year, and she has a very unique story that she's going to share with us. She actually was in the human trafficking industry for 20 years before she was able to get out. She was lured in, I believe, as a teenager.
Wow.
So anyway, she'll tell her story. And the neat thing about it is she got out with the help of a pregnancy help center, similar to Dakota Hope, only it was out on the East Coast. And now Jean Marie, this is a few years later, she is now the director. So she has the same job I do at a pregnancy center out in Vermont.
Incredible.
Yeah.
It sounds very, I was at last year's banquet, and the speaker was fantastic. It was really interesting to hear her story of how she used to work at an abortion clinic, and then was able to get out. So I'm sure that this year's speaker will be just as fantastic. You guys always do a fantastic job, and it's a great event too. There's a speaker that's obviously a featured part of the event, but there's also great food.
We always have good food, and then we also tell stories about Dakota Hope, like the one I shared with you. There's many more stories and we'll tell some of them at the clinic and at the banquet. Yes.
Right. Yeah. Very cool. So if somebody wanted to attend the event, what would be the best way for them to do that?
The best way would be to go to our website, and there's a link there that you can go to our events page on their website, which is dakotahope.org. And then you can just go to the page, and it'll let you register for whichever banquet you want to attend on the 15th in Botno, the 16th in Minot, or the 17th in Tioga.
Okay. And it looks like you need to RSVP by September 6th.
Yes, that's very important. Our caterers kind of know how many people to cook for.
Yeah, that's important. Is there, obviously you guys have a portion where people are able to, last year there was prayer involved, considering how much that someone would want to donate to Dakota Hope, but is there any cost directly for the event?
Yes, that's a really neat thing. We have great business and individual supporters that underwrite the whole event. So we have raised that money thanks to Tim's efforts and our generous donors that even were calling him, aren't you going to call me about the banquet this year? I want to support it,
That's awesome.
So yeah, we've had a few of those lately that he thought he had already raised all the money he needed, but more is always better. We can put it toward operations, you know.
Absolutely.
So we have all the expenses for the banquet are already paid for, and so everything that's raised that night will go directly to help women and men and the children.
That's incredible. That's incredible. How long have you been doing this?
Oh boy, I got involved in this probably around 2011 as when I was introduced to someone else who wanted to start a pregnancy center here in Minot, and then it just grew from there. We met other people that had it on their hearts, and it had been on my heart for many years. So I helped. I was one of the founding members, as was Tim. And so Yeah, we've been open since 2013.
Right.
It took us a few years to get it organized.
Yeah, because it seems, just talking with you, it seems like it's turned from, maybe turn might be the wrong thing, maybe it never was, but it's not just a job. There's a lot of passion that goes into what you do.
Yeah, I've always been concerned about how women and men who have an unplanned pregnancy make their decisions and how they deal with it. And I know people that have had an abortion, and mostly they have them out of fear,
right.
and just feel like they have no other choice.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was a very sad thing. So I wanted to do something to help them make a life choice, to feel like, so they don't feel that abortion is their only option. And then many of them have a lot of regret and pain afterwards, so it's just a joy to do this job. It really is, and we have a fantastic staff that are just as passionate, and they just do it out of love, not just for money.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, really appreciate you joining us today to talk about Dakota Hope and the upcoming banquet, Hope Unleashed.
You're welcome.
Very good.
Hope we see many people there.
Absolutely. That's coming up September 15th, 16th, and 17th. Go to dakotahope.org and click on the link, the events link, and you can find more, so you can register and all that. We're going to go to a quick break. So we'll be back in about 60 seconds.
In the demanding world of oil and gas, precision, safety, and efficiency are non-negotiable. Unmanned operator drone services revolutionizes how you monitor, inspect, and manage your operations. With cutting-edge technology and expert operators, we deliver real-time data, detailed reports, and actionable insights for our valuable clients. Why risk the safety of your team or waste precious time? Our drones access even the most challenging areas with ease, reducing downtime and enhancing safety across your sites. We take the guesswork out of your projects by offering LiDAR, mapping, and inspection services so that your projects stay safe, on budget, and on time. Unmanned operator drone services, where technology meets safety, precision, and efficiency. Contact us today to elevate your operations. Yes, pun intended.
All right. Well, a great interview there with Nadia.
Oh, it was a fantastic listen. I got to sit out. I think that's a fantastic program they offer there. So many opportunities for women there.
It was incredible to hear the story that she shared.
That was fantastic story. It's moving, and I mean,
it is.
It's great that they offer what they offer.
Obviously, abortion is a very divisive subject in the current state of the world. But hearing a story like that about someone that's just able to clearly see their options, and talking with Tim and talking with Nadia, it feels like that's just one of the priorities. Not there to influence the decision.
Yeah,
that's up to the couple,
without a doubt.
But just to clearly show, hey, there's options out there, whatever it might be. Make the best choice.
Exactly, and that's what they're there for, is to help with those options.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
we got a fun show now. Where do you want to start?
I mean, it's already been fun.
I know. We're getting into the city council dirt now. It's going to be fun. "Quote unquote" dirt. I don't mean anything by that.
Whatever. He if you heard what he was saying off camera, you guys, I'm kidding.
No. Uh-oh.
All right. So first off, executive session. You watched that?
Yeah,
that was thrilling. Yeah. I learned that this police department needs employees, that their upcoming budget schedule.
It was a heck of a slideshow.
Yeah, exactly. It was just a long slideshow because the executive session was done behind closed doors. What do you think about that? And I understand the necessity, but I have a couple more questions on that. So sure. What do you think of that?
Generally, I think it can always come off as questionable, just because, like, oh, politicians going behind closed doors to talk about things we can't know, just generally can be questionable. However, I think there's good reason for it. This way, that it's like if you go to an attorney and you're talking with them and they're providing you advice, they're not going to go and provide that advice openly to other people. This way, it can be more direct, and you don't have to worry about any conflicts that way, conflicts of interest.
And it's one of those deals that's very unique for city council, in that whenever all of them assemble, then by law they have to announce that as a meeting, and the public has to have a right to be able to attend, and so that's why it's done that way. They can't just like, all right, we'll just have a meeting with our attorney. No, it has to be done that way.
And theoretically, if you wanted to go, you could sit in the city council chambers, but then they're going to leave for about an hour and change, and you just have to wait till they're back at that point.
But this is my second question on it. Because the precedent that's now set because of what happened with Josh Wolski, friend of the show, he was on previously, and his open records request that he made, where he had one of the executive sessions.
A couple of them.
Yeah, the videos released.
Yep, from some property purchase discussions back in the spring.
Right. So is that something that we should anticipate seeing more of? Because I mean, in the interview with city manager Harold Stewart, he said the city has a very relaxed.
The state does in general.
Yeah, which I imagine maybe the city can't tighten that up. If they can't, then that's a whole other discussion. But there's a very relaxed situation on who can make open records requests and what they can make for.
Without a doubt.
There's basically no privacy.
No, and options are wide open effectively. If you can request, like you were talking with Harold Stewart, you can go and request an employee's a yearly report. It's like anything's fair game theoretically.
Who has need of that?
That's the thing.
And I maybe I should have asked him, like, can you guys deny them, and on what grounds can you guys deny them? Because, but he made it sound like the neighbor could ask when they have to provide it. It's just ridiculous.
That's a little, because you feel for the person at that point. That's some private stuff in there. Like this isn't like, asking about the budget talks behind closed doors. This is someone's work performance.
You don't want it to go the other way where suddenly you can't get any records requests.
Exactly.
But it seems like, all right, if you're an attorney that's requesting on behalf of your client or on behalf of a civil suit that you guys are working on, whatever, yeah, great. You should have access to that. If you're just somebody being nosy, then that reason doesn't fly. You have to at least come up with a legitimate reason.
No, without a doubt. I think that's completely fair.
But we will probably get corrected on how that works. Probably a misunderstanding. Yeah, we should be corrected. But based off the conversation with Harold Stewart, that's what he made it sound like. So interesting there.
Yeah. You also had a recent conversation with Brian Billingsley too.
I did. Brian Billingsley stopped in, sat where you're sitting.
Right.
It was a moment, man.
That was a great conversation too, talking about a lot of the downtown.
Talked about that Renaissance Zone and the facade program. And he would, and there wasn't something for him to, I was going to say he didn't bite at any of my questions, but I mean, it was interesting hearing him talk about the Renaissance program and the facade program, and hearing all of the, not outrage, but all the people that necessarily don't agree with it or don't like it.
Because there's two sides to everything.
There is two sides. And I'm not saying that it is right or that it should happen. I think there was one interview that we had with someone and they're like, well, I just don't understand and understand that the Renaissance Zone is a state program. It's not necessarily a city program. But I don't understand why only those people in those, if we're going to do it, let's do it for everybody. I think he was making the point of just get rid of property taxes and then you don't have to do tax abatements.
Then you don't have to worry about it at that point.
Right. Then if this is truly helping people, then just get rid of property taxes. And that's an interesting discussion. We talked about property taxes last week with John Kerry.
It's on the ballot.
It's on the ballot. So interesting conversation about Renaissance Zone facade program. We didn't go into. I think what the facade program is, people don't trust where the money is going. It feels like it's going to siphon to people that maybe get some benefits. That's basically the general feedback that I've heard on that. And so they don't think it's being always fairly done.
Maybe not managed the best way, at least from an optics standpoint.
From an optics standpoint, I think would be the key there.
Yeah, exactly. Not saying that it is, but just optically from the outside looking in, has some questionable things to it. Not that saying there even is. It just feels like they're not as clear and open as it maybe could be.
That's the feedback that I've heard from others.
Exactly.
So interesting deal there. Obviously, again, he saw it as something that's greatly benefit the community. It's also interesting to talk with him about the downtown,
the lighting.
Yeah.
And city council did offer their advice on that last week at their version of clarity on it, which best from what I can remember was effectively just asking for staff to, or no, they chose one of the
Yeah,
recommended proposals. That
I think they went and took away some of that, I'll say authority, but it wasn't really a deal of authority. It wasn't that somebody had too much power in the city. It was just like, this should not be your responsibility. It puts you in a terrible spot, and worse, it opens up the city for legal vulnerability. Yeah. So they said basically, we don't want to be in the middle of stuff like that. Yeah, and that's fair. Like as soon as that conversation started going down the rabbit hole, it was going down. I was like, this is getting the city should not be involved in this.
It's getting way deeper than anything the city needs to be involved in at that stage.
So that was a interesting deal that happened there. Some other things, last city council, interesting things to note.
It was a full meeting. There was a
house might get demoed.
Potential of some derelict property being demolished, all owned by the same property owner. I know you and Rob Fuller touched on that a little bit last week.
It's a sad deal, but it's a thing of principle.
Yeah, it's not a great situation all around, but they did give him a chance, time to make some improvements. So probably
there was something that happened at the end of city council, and for some reason it's just escaping my mind, but it was an interesting deal. But anyways,
was not Janser's city councilman Janser's budget proposal.
Well, that wasn't interesting. That was supposed to be interesting, and it wasn't.
And it just got skipped over. That's fair. What else did they have from that one? I have meeting notes pulled up.
That's something that one day we'll have to ask Janser about. I would love to talk with him about it before I go and draw a conclusion.
What all gets put into those?
No, just that his thought of skipping over it. Like, why did you want to skip over it?
Fair. Was it just from the length of the meeting, or did you just not feel like going in depth on it?
That's something I feel was important to have discussion on.
Yeah, I thought it would have been a lot more important of a piece of discussion than it was. It was the memo wasn't even read at the meeting, if I remember right, and it was
just submitted. Which brings us to the deal of, if you want to know what's really going on at these city council meetings, make sure you download the full agenda package from the interwebs, because that will show you things you won't ever see otherwise.
Nope. It is. They have all of the info, all of the memos, all of the intricate proposals that's presented and everything. And having his memo pulled up, just the summary of it, he had 5 major points. I don't think we went over this last week, did we?
Yeah.
We did. Oh, jeepers. See, there's
I remember going over these 5 major points.
Well, then there we go.
I went over them with Rob.
You did. Okay, that's right. Yep, I didn't. You did with Rob Fuller. Yep.
You want to talk about them?
We don't have to.
Is there one that really stood out to you?
Not in his proposal. It was just the general.
What about cutting the HR person? They're not cutting. They don't exist yet, but there was a potential new job.
Taking away the proposed additional employee. Where he wants to put the money from it is a little interesting. I think, or is that the one that he wanted to just cut the?
No, it was.
Yeah, he would take.
He was just cutting.
Yeah, he was just cutting that.
But essentially, you could say he's putting that money towards the police.
Yeah,
in a roundabout way, you could say that.
Yeah, because he used that $85,000 to take off the 2025 budget, which would be that minimal mill decrease, which still mill decrease by all means, a little bit less property taxes to be paid from the city of Minot. But again, like we mentioned last week, when you have the school board and city commission or county commission putting their own property taxes into it as well, it doesn't always add up as a total.
Speaking of that, the school is having their budget retreat. Doesn't that start this Thursday?
I say it's this week. I'm pretty sure
it is. It's on my calendar as being this week, so it's happening this week.
It is.
So that'll be interesting. We'll have the breakdown of that next week.
Without a doubt, it'll be an interesting to see what comes from that, and if they can get a little bit more.
And there's city council next week too. So
city council's on Tuesday next week.
Oh yeah, because of Labor Day.
Yep.
So we'll be recapping we'll recap that deal, and then the next week we'll recap city council.
Yeah. Next 2 episodes are going to be pretty epic of Minot Talk. It's going to be popping up in here.
Yeah.
No, for real though. I'm excited. I think it'll be a big meeting next Tuesday coming after Labor Day. I think they're going to have a lot to go over.
So, but yeah, we're working on interviews with public schools still.
Yeah.
The board, just wait until after their budget retreat's done. We have heard back from Ward County Commission. It's just been a scheduling nightmare because of the season we're in.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll be having a interview with them as well, getting the full budget chronicles. And then we're also looking into some other very fun things on property taxes.
Fun
that even Kyler doesn't know about. Reached out to somebody, and well, let me put it this: I had an interview with Scott Samuelson,
Sure.
which is to be released on Saturday.
Sure.
Yeah, and he was like, you should get a debate together on property taxes. I was like, okay,
That'd be interesting.
and so then I reached out to a couple people, and they were like, yeah, we could make that happen.
I'm intrigued. This sounds exciting.
We're waiting on one more leg to that, and probably have a independent moderator, and to people go virtual, a virtual debate on property taxes.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah.
So it's going to be the moderator and then 2 people, 1 from each side.
Yep.
Fair enough. I'm excited.
Yep. And it'll all be virtual. So we'll have our moderator live in our studio, and the other 2 will be independent wherever they're at.
That's going to be great. I think that'll be a great look. That way you
So
can have both.
Nothing's official yet.
No, but I mean,
we kept all names out of it.
Exactly.
Because nothing's official, but it's something we're looking at.
I love the idea of it. I think it's a great setup for what could come.
If you'd like to see that, let us know.
Definitely. Send us make sure you like, comment, let us know. Or if there's someone you want to see interviewed on here, let us know.
If you own a business, if you have an event coming up, anything like that, let us know. And we can't do every single one, but we're definitely open to having guests live in studio and virtually.
I know you touched with Councilman Fuller last week with them, but those 2 items that got brought up with the whole contractors going out of budget with some items that they had to be purchased or that had to be finished.
This is built. The item. It wasn't that late in council meeting, but big deal here.
Yeah. I feel
like that's a big deal.
I feel like especially the way it turned out. I mean, the work's been done. You have to pay for it. And theoretically, the work was necessary to be completed so we could get to the point where we're at. However, you look at it and it's just a little confused or I don't know what word to use for it. I want to say disappointing. Maybe that's not the best word, but for them to go over the budget and then just have the full expectation that payment will be.
So I own a business.
You do.
And we work with budgets. And if we're going to exceed the budget, we had to get approval.
I bet your budgets aren't nearly in the scope of Minot city construction projects either.
Hey man, come on.
Well, I'm talking
whoa, we got to pick on me that way.
Not in that sense. I'm talking hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I know.
And percentages by all means,
yeah.
But dollar figures are a different story.
They are. It's a whole nother game. Also, we don't have the budget we don't have the amount of reserves that the city might have.
Side, yeah, just ready to be spent on these additional budget proposals, or maybe not budget proposals, but necessities to be paid.
Angel Dog 4, we'll work on that debate for you, and thank you. Appreciate the vote of confidence from you.
We try our best.
Yeah, it's something that I don't see a precedent where that should continue. I get that there's a tolerance because things do happen, and you will go over budget, and that's fine. But the idea that that's over, I think they said a 15% tolerance, which is still pretty high.
And so much, I know they were talking at the meeting too. Harold Stewart, and I think it was Jason Sorensen, were talking about how a lot of these construction projects have like a built-in reserve or excess.
Right, that tolerance.
Yeah, just in case that things do go over. And apparently this one had already been used up. So
they didn't know.
Or they didn't know.
That's
right. They didn't.
But they're like, if we're here, then most likely we're here. Come to think of it, we're probably here because it was used up, was basically how
that's what we must, if we're requesting, it must be gone.
But they didn't know that for sure.
I do remember that now. You're right. Yeah. Yep. That was a whole other thing in that. But yeah, so assuming that it is used up, that means it's already been, that this isn't the first time it's happened with this project alone.
Yeah.
And obviously this is a big project that's associated with flood control, which is a whole different topic in and of itself.
Anything for the sake of flood control.
You want a hot take on flood control?
Okay. This is Kyler's opinion and Kyler's opinion alone.
So I have, this is not endorsed by anyone. I think I have fair ground to stand on, having lost my house in the flood in 2011, growing up then. It's been 13 years since the flood.
Yep.
In 2011, Minot, so Grand Forks had a flood in 1997, big flood, took out a lot of property and area damaged in Grand Forks. Downtown Grand Forks was ravaged. In 2011, which was 14 years after their flood control project was effectively finished. We're now obviously
So
there's
how many years?
We're at 13 years now.
Yeah, and how much were they? How many years
they
were
were
they?
at 14, and theirs was done. Obviously, we have a different situation. Minot's much more of a valley, and it's a lot more twist and turvy.
Yeah,
compared to the
Fargo
Red River, which
still
just flows.
Fargo still struggles with flood. They
do.
still don't have it fixed.
No, Fargo doesn't at all. Yeah, Grand Forks, theirs has worked great for the most part. But
what I'm saying is we can't just go compare
no,
and say
no.
It's you're not saying that, but I want to just make it clear.
Yeah, because there is a lot of nuance and there's a lot of differences between them.
Yep.
But just as a rough comparison card for it.
Right.
I'm not saying that this needs to happen or even happen in the next couple of years, but at what point does Minot have to start thinking about wrapping it up?
Yeah.
I'm not saying we should. I'm not saying we need to now.
It feels like there's a lot of like mystery with it all, because it said your kids are going to pay for it. So that's always exciting when they start talking about my kids that way.
Yeah, they were like, that was in the last city council meeting. They were talking about 10, 15 years down the road with flood control still going on.
My kids still won't be paying for it.
No, but
not yet.
They'll be getting close.
They'll be getting close.
But even
I guess maybe because it is part of it is sales tax. So they'll be paying for it that way.
Exactly.
They buy some bubble gum
from the money you gave them.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that you should rush a thing like this or anything, but
so you're saying wrap it up, or are you saying tone it down?
I think I think there needs to be a discussion on how we can proceed to tone it down and then think about wrapping it up in a more timely manner. I don't like putting timelines on things like that, because then that can create a whole hairy mess of itself. Prices can skyrocket because of that. But this feels like it's been a drag on the city, and I'm not saying it should be, because this is a necessity that Minot has to do, and it's something that is required to save a lot of property. Go ahead.
The reason why they have to do it, though, is there's a specific reason. That's flood insurance.
Exactly.
Right now,
all throughout the valley,
they're trying to do this so that is avoided.
Exactly.
So it's not something we can be like, okay, that was fun, we're done.
No,
let's find a different project.
We shouldn't just drop everything and be done.
And I don't know what the terms of that, like if we have to have it completed by a certain year in order for flood insurance. So it'd be interesting to have discussion on all that. But I want to say this is the point I was driving towards, and that is, when was the last flood before 2011?
Major one was 69.
Okay, and that was
in the 70s
42 years.
Yep.
42 years. And so a lot of work has already been done. And it'd be interesting to see what all right now is actually protected compared to the last
13
flood
years ago.
Yeah, and see if we had a flood of the magnitude of last year, how we would be affected projectively.
Like if it were just knock on wood, it doesn't. But if something worst case scenario,
next
winter
spring
and something were to happen next spring, where would it look like?
And if we're much better taken care of, then it would be interesting to say, okay, let's tone it down. And let's look at this as a long-term project. And people won't like that take.
No, and they won't at all. And they have every right not to. I just feel like growing up here, this has been something that's been a part of my life as long as I've been an adult, and a lot before that as well. And it just feels like this is something that has been and will continue to be weighing on our city as a major project that's going on in our city. Obviously, so much of it is state and federally funded, so we don't have as much
sales tax.
And sales tax, exactly.
Which is the argument with sales tax, is that it's not as much on the city. It's crazy though, because when we were talking with John Kerry, we have almost the same sales tax as tourist town Las Vegas does.
Yeah, we were looking up those numbers and the percentages. It's like what, a percentage apart?
Tourist towns typically have very high sales tax.
Exactly. They were at like 8.5. We're at 7.5.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's a big jump. But that's my little 2 cents on that. That's a little rabbit hole we went down on that.
Deanne says it's a never-ending funnel of money to someone's pockets. That's a whole nother discussion. Is somebody getting rich from flood control? And with that, we'll move on to the next subject.
What else is there to talk about on that last meeting? Anything else you want to wrap up with from last week's city council meeting?
That's the thing that I wanted to talk about. I didn't think we talked about enough with Rob, if at all. Just the contract overruns. You know, something else that was interesting was that at last meeting when Northern Plains Ag was up there.
Yeah, I believe so.
It was.
Yep, that was part of the whole zoning issue.
They said that they were told maybe it'd just be better if you build out of town.
Sure.
Like this, and we haven't had an official statement from anybody in the city, but there's a problem with how the city, and I don't know where it's at. So I'm not trying to call anybody out specifically, but it
100%.
feels like coming to the surface, there is a problem with how the city of Minot, whether that is city officials, whether that is city employees, whether that is just the, as they like to say, the smoke-filled rooms of Minot.
Whatever it may be.
Whatever it might be, wherever it might be coming from, with the city of Minot, the city, allowing places to develop and grow the city of Minot. And it may have nothing to do with the fact that it's another implement dealer.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth is, if there's a strong John Deere implement dealer and there's or Gooseneck, and there's a strong Northern Plain Ags dealer in Minot, that's a good thing.
It is
for Minot. And it's running it back a few years, if there's a Walmart or Sam's Club or whatever that was going to end up being on North Hill and Minot, that is a good thing for Minot.
It is.
You look at now where we're finally getting McDonald's and people are upset about a McDonald's being on North Hill. We don't need another McDonald's. Part of your problem why there might be a McDonald's on North Hill is because there's not a Sam's Club on North Hill. Somebody has to be the first one to really do major development. Mm-hmm. And if you have a Walmart or you have a Sam's Club on North Hill, it's going to incentivize others to be in that area.
Yeah, it has to start somewhere. There has to be a beginning of breaking ground in that construction process. And if you look at, I can't think of what the road is, it 20th Avenue that goes right by the new high school.
Yep.
Yeah. If you look on the south side of that road, right across from the high school, that's all undeveloped farmland.
That's where the Walmart was supposed to go.
Exactly. That's just been hayfields for a decade now.
Yep.
And it's prime possibilities at this point.
Right.
I mean, and I know there was a lot of residents that didn't want to Walmart up there at the time for whatever the reasons might have been.
Because that comes down to my understanding,
mm-hmm.
and I wasn't at those city council meetings, but in talks with people, my understanding is that was a deal where Marketplace didn't want them on North Hill.
Oh,
because I believe Marketplace was already up there.
They were already
Marketplace. As soon as the flood happened, Marketplace said, "We're going to North Hill."
Yeah, I do.
They went to North Hill because at that point we were like, dude, if the city gets cut in half, there's nothing on north side
because there wasn't
for food.
And
for a grocery store.
And I want to say that got built in like 2012 or 13.
It was very soon after the flood.
Yep.
And it was after the flood as well that the discussion for that Sam's Club Walmart was had, and it didn't happen. A lot of because of the Marketplace. I believe what I was reminded was it was a 4-3 vote.
Of course. Obviously, different time, of course.
Different council. But what I'm saying is, like, that's the power of this city council. And that directly, I guess, falls on the city councils to some point right there. But in general, Minot has to become developer friendly.
It does. You have, if we want to continue.
And that does not mean, understand something. I interrupt you, but understand that does not mean that we need to give out TIFs.
No.
And we need to give out tax abatements and all that stuff. That is a separate discussion.
But Minot needs to be open and accessible for people to come develop commercial and new residential property, and not just like new apartment buildings that go up all over the place. You need to have an ability to have some kind of new single family homes being built. If you want to incentivize getting the younger people to stay in Minot, you have to, and obviously construction costs are extremely high and there's not a ton of incentive to build those cheaper homes right now. But on top of the commercial access that we need, this, like you said, we just need to become more development friendly. And not saying that we're unfriendly towards it at this point, but there are still more steps.
If they're told by anybody, if it was somebody, whether they are with the city or not, at this point, if Northern Plains Ag is told, maybe it'd be better if you just developed outside of Minot.
I don't want to hear
then that is not developer friendly.
That's fair.
That is not developer friendly. And I'll go so far that you will have a hard time convincing me that if that's said, the reaction is going to be, well, that was that person and whatever. I don't see how that's a single person deal.
No,
I don't see how that's a single person deal.
This is a much bigger overarching thing compared to that. And especially so much of it is just with the location of where it's at too. It's on the far east side of town. It borders Surrey city limits. I mean, this was,
which is a whole nother discussion. I don't know how those discussions like intertwine. The threads that we get don't really tie them together, because there was the planning commissioner that was having that they had discussion with, and rightfully so. I didn't always enjoy the discussions that were had. I didn't always feel like they were completely fair, but they were discussions that had, and the process resolved itself.
They were still had. That's so the thing.
Yep. And it was never, don't develop here. It was, well, this is the problem that you're facing if you're going to, if you want to choose that location. We don't mind you in town, but if you're going to choose that location,
this is what you have to deal with.
Yeah. And they were able to work through the challenges, went through the process, and the process worked out for them. And that's fair.
By all means,
that's completely fair.
It's you might not agree with the outcome in whatever the situation, but the process is fair.
The process, and there should be that process. I'm just talking in general where there's
even
just
a suggestion is had
deal against outside people coming into Minot. If we're gonna grow, and if you're against growth, then that's fine. Like that's the approach
that's a whole
you take.
different argument at that point.
And it turns into a different discussion of, okay, we're done growing. We are what we are. We're as big as we need to be. Okay, that's fine. But if we're going to grow, we're going to have to work with outside developers. We're going to have to work with outside contractors. We're going to have to work with those things. And we're going to have to let big box stores come in.
Without a doubt. That's part of the growth process. I mean, as much as it would be nice, not everything can be a mom and pop shop.
Right. And just because a big box store comes in does not mean that the mom and pop shop has to die.
No, not at all.
In some ways, it means the mom and pop shop just has to adapt and maybe provide better service, provide better pricing.
And they can thrive in a different way.
Yeah.
But you have to have the ability for both to coexist with each other, and also to have the openness for them to be able to come in and present themselves.
None of that was on our topic list, but yet we still talked about it.
It's fine. I think it was good discussion.
It was. Upcoming events tonight, Minot Area Republican Pie Auction Corn Feed going on.
Yeah, it's at the old KC building up on North Hill here.
Exciting
it's
stuff.
$10 to get in if you're an adult, and I know children cost $3, $5.
I'm kind of feeling like a child today.
Right.
NDSU opening weekend. That's happening this weekend.
Yeah, MSU's in town. First football game of the year.
They should be in town.
Well,
I get what you're saying.
Well, yeah, home game for Minot State this week, playing I think Valley City State University, then North Dakota State University's first football game this week. Going to be Thursday night, televised against the University of Colorado.
That's actually going to be
that's going to be a big game. Deion Sanders, the head coach of the Colorado Buffalo. I know he was talking some smack about NDSU. NDSU in the past has come out and blown away some big top tier opponents. I know they played Iowa in the past and won. They were supposed to play.
Okay, wait a minute, buddy. Slow down.
Go ahead.
You said they've went out and beat some top tier opponents, and they have.
Excuse me, in Division I.
And then you said they beat
Iowa.
Okay, I thought you said Idaho.
No, excuse me.
No, dude, that's not top tier.
The Iowa Hawkeyes.
Yes,
excuse me.
They beat Iowa. They beat Minnesota several times, and I believe they beat
Kansas
some of them.
State.
Kansas.
Yep.
Which then took their coach.
And
so that was the ultimate
to play
move.
the University of Oregon.
They were
COVID year, but that got
some Oregonians got scared because of COVID. What an excuse! The green and gold of NDSU was going to take on the green and gold of Oregon, and then Ducks were going to lose.
I think they would have. That was an even better NDSU team. I'm not saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
They were coming off a championship.
I think Ducks had no chance.
I think NDSU can win this week, though. I would love to see them beat Colorado.
Oh yeah, that would be great to see. Angel Dow agrees we need a Costco or Sam's Club on North Hill. Yes,
definitely.
We probably won't get a Costco anytime soon because Bismarck stole that opportunity. But we'll see if Walmart or Sam's Club ever brings back the discussion after they get shut down by city council. But
I think having an extra option on North Hill for shopping and grocery,
I believe the need is there.
Yeah.
And I believe that you would find a lot of your base traffic going there as well. I feel like right now North Hill is so prime for somebody like that to get in there.
It's
$3. They also said $3 for that kid's corn feed.
There we go.
There you go.
I knew it was one of the two.
Yeah. Well, when you say every number, one of them's got to be right.
Exactly. 3, 4, 5, 6, somewhere in there.
So, NDSU
and I think
opening weekend, Motor Magic happening Thursdays downtown, continuing Chalk Art Festival.
Heck yeah. Last week of the Nodak Speedway races, Motor Magic all weekend.
Whoop whoop.
Whole bunch of car racing Saturday, Sunday. Then downtown Thursdays still goes.
I don't know.
I don't think I think there might be one more after this. There might
Okay.
be a couple into September. But
Kyler says there's one more.
there might be. Not saying
Maybe.
there is. There might be.
But this
one for
we
sure.
do know for sure that there's a new walkout in Playlist Interbase store.
Yeah, this is.
What do you think of that?
It's weird.
Okay, so basically, you guys may have heard of them, the Amazon stores, where you walk in, slide your card, shop, and then you walk out with whatever you want, and then you get charged for it.
Yep, you don't even have to scan anything. And here's from the City of Minot's Instagram page. Here's their comment. So someone asked, so you don't have to scan anything. So confused how this works. City of Minot replies, that's correct. The Amazon Just Walkout technology tracks your selections with cameras and charges you when you and your party walk out the store.
There's like over 200 cameras in there tracking.
That's incredible.
And
what happens if the power goes out?
Yeah, then the store probably just you probably get locked in there. Somebody said though that they were gonna stop by, get a drink, found that there was a discount. Classic 2 for $4.
Sure.
So they grabbed 2 drinks, walked out, checked their charge, and realized that they got charged full price. Goes back.
Who do you complain to?
There's employees there.
Okay.
Goes back, asks about it. They said, yeah, because the system actually says, and this is just what I read. Okay, sure. So this is not my own experience. But the system says that you have to get 2 of the same exact ones.
So if it's the 2 for $4 like Mountain Dew deal, you can't get like the green and the orange one. You got to get 2 green ones.
Right.
Okay.
So with Mountain Dew, maybe you can live with that. But when you're talking about bubblers, like totally, if you're gonna get 2, you get 2 different flavors.
Yeah, you don't want the same.
Get your energy drink, your Ghost Energy. You're gonna get 2 different flavors.
Without a doubt.
What you do.
Without a doubt. You don't get you don't want to double down like that.
Yeah, no way.
So the AI isn't quite up to speed where it could be on that one.
Right. And that's the other part of it is while there is no service inside, they are bringing service back to the gas station itself. So they do help you pump your gas and all that.
Oh, so it's a full service pump now.
Yeah.
That's weird. I don't know why. It's just
but in some ways
it's probably extremely convenient.
Think about it. Would you rather have someone pump gas for you, or would you rather have somebody like check you out at the cash register in the store? What would you rather?
I don't know. I don't like either of them.
Really?
Probably I would. I like pumping my gas. I've never liked the concept of someone coming out and doing it for me. I feel awkward about it. I would probably rather go into the store and check out. I'm weird like that.
Because it works. The idea that they have set up there is we'll pump your gas for you so you can go get what you want and come back.
I mean, that's a great concept. I'm sure people will love it by all means. It sounds
just
like
not Kyler.
Yeah,
you won't be there.
Not my thing.
Unbelievable, man.
I'm gonna go once just to try it, just to see how it goes. But
you are out of control.
It's
you and your takes today. I just don't know about it. Don't bring back the strawberry lemonade or whatever it was. Ghost Energy drink.
Energy got me all excited.
Did not work out.
Oh, it was fun. I think it was nice. Hey, I wanted to bring it up with last week, but we didn't get onto it. So it happens. We get it this week. Congrats, everyone.
Congrats.
You got my flood hot take. I hope.
Very good. Yeah, well, we should have some discussion with some people on the flood issue. That is Minot.
Did you see also too yesterday the partial elementary school or public school got shut down?
That's crazy.
There were some threats. Yeah, and they were closed today too because of it.
And I know on the list there's also the police standoff that had happened over the weekend. It's just those things are sad.
Yeah, that's a tough situation. That's never
always sad.
Never good.
Yeah,
unfortunate that it happened and it played out that way. But
just in general, though, like that, the police school threats or partial school threats,
exactly.
and just in general, those types of deals that are happening. It's a sad, different world that we live in. Stay safe out there. All right, so it's gonna be interesting to see. Coming full circle back to the executive session that happened yesterday, going to be interesting to see what the committee comes up with on the liquor license gaps.
Yeah, that was going to be my thing. Did we ever actually say what it was for at the start?
No, I don't think we did. It was for the liquor license cap, which there's a committee on it basically to see if it's going to be removed.
Yeah.
Or if there should be changes made.
Yep. And this.
All right. You're full of takes. What's your take? Should it be removed? Should the ratio be changed?
I'm fully okay with the ratio being changed, and I could also be convinced that it could be taken off, but also I know you're going to get repercussions from the business owners that consider that.
Oh, they're going to get repercussions, but do they have a leg to stand on?
According to the memo, the conclusion from the memo that was released by the attorney that they released from the meeting yesterday. Let me go down to it here.
Grab it, boy.
Heck yeah. Just the final line of it, the conclusion based on, so they, in the memo, it's 10 pages long. They've displayed a bunch of different, so there's no exact case for this. This would technically be a precedent setting thing, but there's a lot of similar things. There's a thing with like peanut farmers where they had their crop that was some kind of a crop share thing, and it was fought with the government on it. So they explored a few different cases. The conclusion that the attorneys offered were based on existing case law, although there are no cases directly on point. Analogous cases support the argument that the city could amend its ordinance, removing the liquor license cap, and successfully defend against a lawsuit alleging a compensatory taking of or due process violation.
So they could win that.
According to the attorney's advice.
And that was an outside attorney that they called in for that?
This was from the attorney's office. Where was it at? It's at the top of the memo here. Onstat Twitchell attorneys from Kate Schmidt. I think she is. I think Kate Schmidt works for the city of Minot. Does she not? I want to say she's one of the city's attorneys. Maybe, I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me on that. Yeah,
I won't, because I don't know about that. That's not the lead one.
No, certainly not. She's not the lead. I think she might be Steph's I don't know. I'm going to stop there.
yeah. Your hot takes are getting you in trouble now.
Yep. But that conclusion wasn't a hot take.
So you want that?
I'm not a drinker, so I don't care. But
that's who should care the most.
Exactly.
As the non-drinkers.
But I'm also a very passive person. I'm a very live and let live kind of guy. So if you want to go out and get blasted, do it. I think you have every right to do so.
Does that create an unsafe environment in your city?
It has the potential to. I don't know if it will, but it could. Also, I don't know if dangerous or unsafe is the best. I think maybe unappealing, just having so many potential places to have liquor available. But again, unappealing to me could be very appealing to people in North Dakota.
Yeah, but let's walk through this. So not dangerous or unsafe. So does the amount of DUIs go up?
It could. By all means.
So DUIs is not based on how many the accessibility of alcohol. People will drink the same amount of alcohol.
I think
there's got to be people that do not go to the bar because they're too crowded.
And so then in theory they're just getting okay, so this is a fun conversation. So the people that drink and don't go to the bars right now, theoretically, because they're too crowded, they're just drinking at home. And so if this were to open up more space for bars, these people would then theoretically or hypothetically go to a new, less crowded bar.
Yeah, it's also going to increase the ability for more unique environments to be created in that area. Just like we have seen the skyrocketing of coffee shops in Minot. You're going to have the ability to have stuff like that happen, just like they had the pour whatever back in the day. That was
Pour Farm.
No, it's not Pour Farm. It was over by Ebenezer's, just a little more east of that, in that older building there. And they had some unique things, and they had to shut down. I don't know why they shut down.
Cornhole boards in there.
I never really went in there, but I heard that it was just taps all the way around.
And it was super small place too.
Yeah. But it was a different experience. Is what I'm getting at. It was a very unique experience. That's the point that I'm making.
And I think
you're going to create that. And when you create experiences, more people are going to go out, and it's going to increase the chances.
Yeah, no, that's a very fair point. But so I guess then you're weighing, are these increased experiences and opportunities worth the potential increase of DUIs and drunken encounters?
Yep. And so then somebody's probably going to be like, well, just like 5-10 minutes ago, Jonathan, you're saying that Minot needs to stop thinking small. It's like, all right, I get you. But I think right now it's a substantial effort that has to be put in to get one.
Mm-hmm.
And so my point that I'm making is, if there's not a substantial buy-in still for one of those licenses, then if anybody could start one, it just seems like it could get out of control.
It could be a free-for-all kind of thing. All of a sudden now you have like liquor being served at any kind of, I'm not saying this is happening, it's even necessarily a bad thing, but just saying you could have a whiskey tasting part of any kind, like the main a bookstore downtown, something like that. That could
Whatever
be a
it could
part of
be.
Yeah, just a hypothetical thought out there, but it's possible.
So interesting. It'll be interesting to see what the long-term thoughts are on that.
Yeah, and when they end up, because I know they were talking at the meeting, they're going to end up they're going to send out a notification via email to a lot of the other business owners that have liquor licenses on when their meeting is going to be. So
That's
good chance,
eventful.
when that happens, good chance there'll be some fun public discourse in that one that we'll be covering.
They've already had a lot of discourse on that.
Exactly, and
They aren't thrilled.
It's coming back.
That'll be interesting.
We
had an interview with former Mayor Sean Sitman. He was not a fan.
He was not. No, he was for the cap.
Just for the cap.
Yep. You guys had a nice sit down and here going over all about the city council's history and a lot of that's when that was first coming up. So you guys talked about the liquor license cap a lot on that one.
Did. So gonna be some interesting stuff to be keeping track of. Thursday, city school board budget retreat. Next Tuesday, Minot Talk. Following that, city council. And then Ward County Commission is probably that day too.
Yeah, not next week, but the following. Yeah, that school board meeting is still another 2 weeks away. Still,
that budget retreat still.
That's this week.
So, all right, very good. I think we pretty much covered all the relevant new news that's happened. So,
yeah, this was fun. Great conversation, Jonathan.
Yep, great conversation.
Make sure you like, subscribe if you're on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, hit the bell for notifications. If you're on Facebook, make sure you follow us. Check out mydakotan.com for always some updated articles we have coming on there.
Yep. And this week we're gonna be having Thursday, Daryl Lee's will be conversation with that will be published. We'll also have an interview with Dr. Emerson Eads on Western Plains Opera and their upcoming event. And then on Saturday, we'll be releasing the interview we did with current city councilman Scott Samuelson and his view on the budget.
Sounds great, Jonathan.
Here we go.
Forward to it.
Thanks for watching this episode of Minot Talk. We'll be back next Tuesday at 2 p.m.